Hello everyone. We are going to now take up the third part of this topic, that is about food chemistry. We have already seen the first part of chemistry in everyday life, which was with respect to medicine and drugs. Second part was with respect to cleansing agents, soaps and detergents. And now we will see about food science. Few aspects of food chemistry have been dealt here. So let us learn about where chemistry comes in food science. The first point why we have the food is basically to have nutrients. These nutrients are going to provide us with obviously energy. The functions of the nutrients are to regulate our growth of body, maintain all the body parts and its functions, and repair the damaged body tissues. Major nutrients which we have it through our food are carbohydrates, lipids, that means oil and fat, proteins, vitamins, minerals, and water. Except minerals and water, all other substances are organic compounds. Mineral and water can come under inorganic. What are the sources through which we obviously get these nutrients? Grains, fruits, and vegetable will provide us with carbohydrates and vitamins. Meat, fish, eggs, dairy products, pulses, cereals, they are going to give us proteins and vitamins. Vegetable oil, dairy products, animal fats, they will give us lipids. We will talk about the structural information. Most of these nutrients what we have, especially carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, they are very complicated, large organic molecules. For calling it large, they use a term macromolecule. These molecules or macromolecule, whenever we digest, they will break down into smaller or simpler molecules. For example, when we digest carbohydrates, we get glucose or fructose produced from them. Proteins upon digestion produce alpha amino acids. The first aspect about food chemistry we talk is food quality. By food quality, we mean checking of the parameters like flavor of the food, smell, texture, color, and how much of microbial spoilage has taken place, or there are no absolutely microbial spoilage. Quality will depend upon how much of enzyme action has taken place through atmosphere or by action of microorganisms. Now every time microbial presence is not negative, because there are cases like curdling of milk or fermentation of dough for bread, idli, dosa. These are beneficial usage of microbes, but of course certain microbial spoilage is obviously harmful. For this we have to study about food preservation, food processing methods. Now out of these few cases which are kept in our syllabus, we are going to discuss them. The first one we study is a very simple thing which was studied from childhood, is browning of cut fruit or vegetables. You must have observed fruits like apple, banana, or vegetables like potato and all. After you cut them, after some time their surface becomes little bit of browner or yellowish. Now, this happens due to a lot of steps of organic reactions. For example, in an apple when cut, oxygen is introduced in the tissues, of course through atmosphere. When oxygen present in these cells, they oxidize polyphenol oxidase enzyme. For example, you can imagine this. Catechol is a molecule which contain two OH groups. So, by the enzyme polyphenol oxidase, these OH groups convert into two ketone groups. So, you can see this OH group has converted into this ketone. This OH has been converted into ketone. This compound is called orthoquinone. More further such reaction take place, and finally we get a substance called tannin, which is the brownish colored tinge what we see on the surface. To avoid this kind of browning of the surface, you can use sulfur dioxide or ascorbic acid, that means vitamin C, or you can apply citric acid or vinegar. Now at home, if you want to try this thing, the simple thing is when you cut an apple, just scrub some lemon juice on it. Lemon juice will provide citric acid and the surface converting into brown will be very much slowed down. The second aspect which we study is rancidity of oil. Oils and fats, when kept for a long time, they develop unpleasant or rancid smell or a little bit of disagreeable taste. This process is called rancidity. Let us understand why this rancidity happens, but before that we will study what is a fat or an oil. This molecule which you see here is glycerol. It has three OH groups, and when this reacts with three carboxylic acid molecules, we get an ester here which is called triglyceride. Triglyceride is a general name for any fat or oil. These three R groups which you see, they can be same or they can be different also. So this becomes, and please remember for the next part, the general structure of any fat or oil. Keeping this structure in mind, now we will study what is rancidity of oil. The processes involved in rancidity can be of two types. It can be due to hydrolysis or it can be due to oxidation. So let us study it one by one. Hydrolytic. The name indicates that the fat molecules get hydrolyzed due to microorganisms. For example, the same molecule of a triglyceride due to enzyme lipase gets broken down into glycerol and three fatty acids. Now these fatty acids usually have a very bad disagreeable smell. This is the smell which we call as rancidity. This indicates that the oil or fat has started disintegrating. These acids which we usually see in milk and butter, they are butanoic acid, pentanoic or octanoic acid, and they produce a very bad smell. Similarly, chocolates, if you keep outside the refrigerator, they will release palmitic, stearic or oleic acid, giving a little bitter taste to the chocolate. Coconut oil also develops rancidity due to an acid released called lauric acid. This was all regarding hydrolytic rancidity. Let us now study about oxidative rancidity. In oxidative, the carbon double bond carbon of the fatty acid breaks down into corresponding either aldehyde or carboxylic acid. Now, in the chapter of alkenes, you have studied that when carbon double bond carbon breaks down, it can produce carboxylic acid or aldehyde. They also have very bad smell. This is called oxidative rancidity. Usually, this rancidity happens due to light or by certain enzymes or by presence of metal ions coming through the container. That is why usually, traditionally, oil is not stored in metallic container. Since oils have more unsaturated group than fats, rancidity happens faster. If more extensive oxidation occurs, then viscosity and browning of the oil increases more and more. Now, all this rancidity, you will wonder, does it happen in our home, in our daily life uses oil? The answer is no, because all the oil which we use in city like Mumbai have been added with antioxidants. So, preservatives. So, these antioxidants and preservative usually keep away these processes. If you are taking an oil which is unprocessed, then rancidity chances are little more. We now talk about saturated and unsaturated fats. Fats are triglyceride of fatty acids. Animal fats usually contain saturated fatty acids, while vegetable oil contain unsaturated. We will talk about both of them. What are saturated fatty acids? Watch this structure very carefully. This first portion which you see is glycerol, and this blue part which you see is fatty acid. You can clearly see there are only single bonds present in these whole structures. Because of this, strong van der Waals forces are present, and due to which melting point is higher. This is the reason fats are solid at room temperature. Compare now with oil structure. In oil, we have carbon double bond carbon. Now in this you can see this is a chain with single bond. This is also with single bond, but this has one double bond here. Due to the double bond, of course, sp2 hybridization, there is a bend produced. This is called in technical language as kinks. Due to these kinks, chains are in a haphazard way. Van der Waals forces become weak. Oils have lower melting point. That is why oils are liquid at room temperature. Melting point, of course, depends upon van der Waals forces. Natural fats have higher melting point than oil, but they don't have a fixed value of melting point. For example, let me give a very simple example to understand this technical term. Imagine that you have butter, and this butter is kept in a pan, heating saucepan. We never see butter has melted at one single go. It melts over certain time period. This is called melting over a range of temperature. That is because melting points are not sharp melting points. Some more example about these natural fats and physical states. Mainly the fats which contain saturated groups are labeled in the first column, with mono unsaturated containing one double bond is in second column, and with more double bonds poly unsaturated is in third one. I hope you must have heard these oils, some of them, some you may not have heard. For example, safflower oil in Indian language is called kardi ka tel, and from this word safflower, the company started the brand Saffola. So they earlier used to only market safflower oil. Later on, they started with each and every oil selling. We talk more about these double bonded fats. Now, these, since they contain carbon-carbon double bond, they will have cis and trans structure. You already know from organic chemistry what is a cis and trans structure. So the fats which contain cis groups, they will be called cis fatty acids. The one which contains trans group will be called trans fatty acids. In case you are little bit aware, there is something known as trans fat in our food. So perhaps if you have heard that these fats form lipoprotein and they are stored in body. Excessive low density lipoprotein is very bad for our regular health, and these are some of the most favorite food of yours which are all containing trans fat, and they are going to increase the problems of cardiovascular diseases, simple language, heart diseases. So consuming these kind of substances is absolutely not good for your health. Unfortunately, they are all your favorites. Coming back to some good fatty acids, they are called omega-3 fatty acids. There are two kinds of fatty acids we come across, omega-3 and omega-6. Now what is this omega-3 and 6? Let us see structure wise. This is a substance linolenic acid. Now here this is the extreme end, which is taken as carbon number 1. First carbon, second carbon, third carbon. So if double bond starts at third carbon, it is called omega-3 fatty acid. Suppose it begins at sixth carbon, it will be called omega-6 fatty acid. Omega-3 fatty acids are one of the best one for your health, and they will give you what is known as high density lipoprotein, which is called a good cholesterol. Sources are excellent: walnut, akhroad, flax seeds, chia seeds, soybean, and cod liver oil. These will increase good cholesterol in your blood. On the contrary, omega 6 is the villain. You can see here double bond begins at 6th, and this is not good for health. This will increase low density lipoprotein, the bad cholesterol. Coming to the next point in food chemistry, antioxidants. Antioxidants are those substances which will delay the oxidation process in the food. They are either naturally present or they can be added, and they will increase the shelf life of the food material. One of the most common example is vitamin E, known as tocopherol. This is usually added in packaged edible oils, and due to this, the rancidity process is delayed. You don't have to remember the structure of vitamin E for syllabus exams. Vitamin E is naturally present in wheat germ, different nuts, seeds, leafy vegetables, and even safflower oil. Vitamin E as such is very good for our health also. This was a natural source. Let us consider an artificial source known as butylated hydroxytoluene. Now, if you see this benzene ring and CH3 is toluene. On para position, we have hydroxy. And on these two positions, you have tertiary butyl groups. These OH group here is responsible as antioxidant property. The chemical name of this is 3,5 di tert butyl 4 hydroxytoluene. Another one which is artificially used is butylated hydroxyanisole. You can see here benzene ring with OCH3 is anisole. This is one tert butyl group. This is usually added in butter, packaged meat, cereals, chewing gum, snack food, baked food, beer, and different dehydrated potatoes varieties. For JEE and NEET students, IUPAC name along with molecular formula is very important for exams. After antioxidants, other general examples which are very minor ones, I am just displaying here. Different gas like sulfur dioxide, its salts like sulfites, compounds like ascorbic acid means vitamin C, propyl gallate. These are few other minor examples. We come to a very important section, artificial sweeteners. We know that whenever we are having any food, and most of the foods contain some amount of sweetness. But whenever we add sugar, honey, or any such thing, we generally get calories from them. And people who are already diabetic or calorie conscious do not like those calories. For them, we use artificial sweeteners. We will study about 5 or 6 artificial sweeteners here. The most oldest one discovered was saccharin, and its structure goes like this. This was a popular sweetener, but this compound is it's insoluble in water. So instead of this, now a sodium salt of it is used, which is water soluble. This is a white solid, and its sweetness is 550 times than normal cane sugar. This compound is non-biodegradable, no calorific value, and it is thrown away, excreted through urine. But over period of time, people understood that saccharin is carcinogenic. It causes cancer. That is why in countries like India also, it is now banned. You will not get saccharin in most of our food products. The second one which we use commonly is aspartame. Aspartame is actually a methyl ester of aspartic acid, which you can see here, and phenylalanine, which you see here. So this portion is COOH, CH2, CHNH2, COOH. While this portion there is an NH2 group present. So when carboxylic acid and NH2 react with each other, they create a peptide. This is called aspartame. It's merely 100 times sweeter than sugar. And you know where aspartame is used? In all the 0 calorie cola drinks. That is all your Diet Pepsi, Diet Coke contain aspartame. This have a little bit of problem with people having phenylketonuria. That means diseases with respect to kidney. They should avoid this kind of sweetener. Number 3 is cyclamate. This chemical is having a name as N-cyclohexyl sulfamate, and I've already shown in red cyclamate how the spelling is created. This is merely 7 times sweeter than cane sugar, and 10:1 mixture of cyclamate and saccharin is usually used. This chemical is not used in India anywhere. Very few countries follow this cyclamate. Next is allitame. Allitame is a big complicated compound. This is 2000 times sweeter than sugar. This is also not used in India. In India now currently most popular one is sucralose. Sucralose is obtained from sucrose, that means cane sugar, but it doesn't give you any calories at all. And it is highly stable at cooking temperature, 600 times sweeter than cane sugar, and it does not give any calories at all. All nowadays, whatever non-calorific sugar pills which you get, one of the most famous one is Sugar Free Natura contains sucralose. You know, a brand Sugar Free has two things: Sugar Free Natura, which is sucralose, and Sugar Free Gold, which is aspartame. A third very recent which has come in market is stevia, which is obtained from stevia leaves. It's a natural product, not giving any calories. Just to give a summary of whatever we did, for exams, you should remember all these numbers by heart. Coming for food preservations, why do we need to preserve the food? To make the food available during the days of scarcity, prevent the spoilage of food, make the food palatable, attractive, increase the shelf value, and to avoid the undesirable changes in color, flavor, or taste. Preservative is that substance which will do this particular function. Mainly, it stops the process of fermentation and decomposition by microorganisms. There are two ways in which we can do preservation: physical and chemical. So in first one we have physical methods of food preservation, that is removal of heat or simply cooling process. This is a method which we use in our daily life. We cook some food in morning, we keep the remaining one in refrigerator, maybe use it in the evening. This is simply called removal of heat. Second is addition of heat. This is simply by heating or using a microwave oven or in industrial way like pasteurization and some other processes. By removal of water, that is by dehydration. This can be done in oldest manner as sun drying dehydration, very popular in tropical countries like India, low temperature evaporation, puff drying, freeze drying, and so on. This can be used for preserving fruits, vegetable, fish, and so on. Most modern way of food preservation is by either ultraviolet or some such high intensity radiation. Usually, bakery products and such certain things can be preserved by using irradiation. The second method of preserving food is chemical method. First, by addition of sugar. The most favorite way in India, we keep jams and jellies ready by adding a lot of sugar in them. By addition of salt, which is called the making of pickle, again a very popular thing in India. The Chinese way of doing it is by using vinegar. Nowadays, that's also popular in India, and by addition of different chemicals. Let us study few chemicals over here now. These chemicals which we add, they are going to prevent the growth of bacteria, fungus, molds, etc. Some natural food preservators which we have seen are salt, sugar, and oil. This process, when we add salt, it's called salting, and table salt is used to preserve fruit like green mango, amla, tamarind, fish, and so on. Different fruits like mango, apple, they can be converted into jam, jelly, or squash. Now, we use all these things as a luxury food, but remember, hundreds of years back, these were the methods to preserve the food. Now, it has just become a luxury food. Some artificial food preservatives, sodium benzoate, it is usually used in citrus fruits. Sodium and calcium propionate, obtained from propionic acid. Sodium metabisulfite, again used in different jams, pickles, and squashes. When sodium bisulfite is used, sulfur dioxide gas is released, which converts into sulfonic acid, and that preserves the food. Sorbic acid and potassium sorbate. These are used mostly in butter and cheese. Different epoxides. Now, epoxides are these compounds which we had seen in organic chemistry. So, this is a ether linkage with CH2 and CH2 here. These are mostly used in spices, dry fruits, and nuts. Now, here we have different esters of para-hydroxybenzoic acid. These are going to be used for preserving cooked food, soft drink, pickles, and so on. I have found one structure of ethyl ester of para-hydroxybenzoic acid.